We come to Adobe Animate and we're going to take a look at just some basic layouts and tools inside this program. First thing we're going to do, we're going to come to File, New. We're going to create a project that is 600 pixels by 600 pixels. And let's just go for the web just for now. So I'm going to make this 600 by 600. The default will be 24 frames per second. And we're going to keep HTML5. I hit Create. I have my stage, I have my timeline, and we can think of our stage as where everything takes place. Now we want to import a file. I have a bunch of files and we're going to import them. So I'm going to come File, I'm going to choose Import. I'm going to choose Import to Stage for this one, and I'm going to find where those files are. Those files are actually right here. And I'm going to start with my first one, which is going to be proportion. I hit open and I get my next window. And let's actually just start with importing all paths into the same layer. And there we have it. Now when we take a look at our timeline, we can see that what we have here is we have our entire, everything that we brought in, this SVG is all in frame 1. And when we look at time, there's nothing happening. It's just a still image. Okay, now what we want to do, and again, this object was built inside of Adobe Illustrator. So all of these different shapes, we can now move into their own layers. We want to think about if we want to animate an object, it needs to be in its own layer. What I want to do is I want to start and have these small and make them get big, going from big to small with proportion, and keep the type the same. So they're all selected. I can tell that they're all selected. If not, I can grab my tool and drag an arrow, drag around them so they're all selected. Now I'm going to come to Modify and I'm going to choose Timeline and I'm going to choose Distribute to Layers. They're all in their own layers. When I take a closer look at my layers, I can turn my eyeballs on and off to see what is what. Now let's make this animation happen over about 3 seconds. I can come here, I see 1 second, 2 second, 3 second. So I'm going to come on down, I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to insert frames. So I come to Insert, Timeline, Frames. Now we can see we have all of these objects over top of 3 seconds. Now, I'm not going to have proportion and this little part with the shape move. So I'm just going to lock those two. Now I'm going to start to animate. My next step that I'm going to choose after I add the frames is I'm going to create a motion tween. So again, I come to Insert and I'm going to create a motion tween. Now this will say to you that it needs to be a symbol, and yes, we're going to let it become a symbol, and I'm going to do the same for each one of these. Insert, create a motion tween. So all of these layers that have the objects that I want to animate, that I want to make move, they need to have a motion tween on them. Fabulous. There we go. Wonderful. So now again, nothing's happening just yet. So I'm going to come on out to, I'm going to start in the very beginning here. And I'm going to make them start small and then get large. So I'm going to open up my window and I'm going to open up my transform window. The transform window has some good stuff on it. I'm going to pull that window on over here. And I'm going to have it start small. So again, I can grab my black arrow. I can click on one of these. I can always tell which layer I'm on because it's highlighted. Okay. And I am going to begin and I'm going to transform this. Oops, I turned it off. Turn it back on. Now I'm going to make sure that my proportions are constrained and I'm going to make it go from 20%. And then when it comes all the way out to the end, I am going to make it go to 100%. Now, what you'll see happened, we can see now it's getting bigger. As soon as when I add a motion tween and I go to a certain frame and then I add something to happen, I add directions for the object, you'll see that it will automatically add another keyframe to your motion tween. Let's do the next one. I come to the next one and I click and I'm going to start it out. I'll start it out at 25%. They're both there. And I'm going to come all the way out to the end and I'm going to put it to 100%. Excellent. So now I have 2 going. I'm going to come back and I am going to click on to my next one. I'll make this one 30%. And then I'm going to come on out and I'm going to come to 100%. And I'm going to do my last one. I'm going to click onto it. I'll do 35%. And I am going to come on out and I add it. I make it 100%. Wonderful. So there we have it. We have 4 objects. I can hit play. We have 4 objects that are moving, that are growing in size. And we do not have a motion tween on the shape or the text for proportion. They are staying the same. And we have them going out the entire length of the animation. Let's do another one. Again, the steps again. I'm going to come File, New, and I am going to set my artboard up to match the one that I just did. And I'm going to make this 600 by 600, HTML5, 24 frames per second. And again, I'm going to come on in and I'm going to choose File, Import, Import to Stage. I am going to choose Rotate. I'm going to choose Open. I'm going to import all of these into the same layer. And I want to take a plan. What am I going to do for this one? And we're going to take a look at how this will change a little bit what we do. Okay, so again, I'm going to have it go over 3 seconds. I'm going to have rotate all, stay in one place. Now I want to move all of these shapes together so I can keep those all in the same layer. So what I'm going to do is I am going to select this place, this object, this shape that I want to rotate together. So I'm going to work a little differently this time. Now I'm just going to come modify it. I'm going to choose Convert to Symbol and I'm going to name it Rotate and I'm going to put it as a movie clip. You have the option of movie clip, button, or graphic. Let's stick with the movie clip and I'm going to hit OK. Now I can see it is just one object. When I take a closer look, I can see if I open up my library that there it is and I could reuse it, which is really a pretty powerful thing. Now what I want to do is I want to separate this bottom piece, the shape, and rotate to its own layer. So I'm going to select it and I actually am just going to choose Edit Cut. Now I'm going to add a new layer and I'm going to click right into this first frame and I'm going to choose Edit Paste in Place. I want to make sure that I have this on its own layer and my rotate on its own layer. Now I am ready to start animating. Again, I come out. I'm going to come to 3 seconds. I'm going to insert my frames, insert, timeline, frame. Now the only one that I want to add an animation to is the rotate SVG. So I'm going to click and I'm going to choose insert, create a motion tween. Now I'm going to come out to 1 second and I have it in the first frame. It looks like it does when I brought it in. I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to come to 1 second and now I'm going to come to my rotate. I'm going to click onto this. And I can choose to rotate. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, about 90. Doesn't need to be exact. 90 degrees. Okay, let's take a look. So I come on in. There it goes, it's rotating. Now look, once I get to here and come out, nothing else is happening. I need to give more directions. So I'm going to come out to here. I'm going to click right on and I am going to rotate it. Now I can I'll make it go a little faster. I'll go a little bit more. I can hit play. Let's watch and see what happens. All right, now I'm going to make it go back. So if I come into here and I can click, a lot of times you have to make sure that you click onto the timeline. And I am going to make it go backwards now. All right, so let's see. Now it's going to rotate. We can hit, it's going faster. Now it's going backwards. All right, there we go. So we can see we have the it moving back and forth. Now let's add a little something else too. I could come into here. I could also make it get larger, right? So I could click on it and you can add multiple different things, make it get bigger. So here we can see getting bigger. I'm going to come out to here and I'll make it get smaller. So I'll click onto here. Again, we just keep adding directions for what we want to happen. All right, so there we have it. We can watch our animation getting bigger, getting smaller, rotate. Now let's take a look at if we were going to save these. We have two files open and we've just looked at transform. We've looked at the transform window and we've looked at how we can rotate and how we can change the size with proportion. When we come to save, we can come file, save as, and we're going to find that I'm just going to drop it onto my desktop. We're going to find that FLA is going to be the native file for Adobe Animate. If you want to export it and view it though, a really quick, easy way to do so is to do it as an animated GIF. So for these ones, I'm just going to export them as animated GIFs. So I choose Export Animated GIF and I am going to choose Save. And I am going to give it, I'm going to drop it onto my desktop and I'm going to give it the name of Rotate. And I'm going to choose Save. Now what's going to happen, I'm going to find it and I'm going to go to my desktop. Don't mind my messy desktop. And I find Rotate. Now, in order to view this, if I was to open this up, it might even just show all these different images, and you can even open it up in Adobe brackets and you could see the code that is behind this. So how we want to view it, we need a browser to view it. So what we could do if we wanted to view it larger, we would just do a right click and we would choose open with, and then we would have to open it up with a browser. And there we have it. Wonderful. We've done two of these. We have rotate and we also have proportion.